right, guys, and welcome back. Sorry about that, but it looks like we are all good to go. So, Russ, we got a lot of feedback going on, and I think if we could stick with the topic of community warfare, I think we've got a lot of follow-up questions in the chat as well as questions that we've gathered from the past few days. But there's a few things here. Last town hall, we talked about solo, versus group play in community warfare. Obviously, 4v4 looks to sort of help with those smaller groups and solo players. Are you guys happy with where solo players and, what their, I guess, expectations of community warfare and participation, but the reality of it is they're going to be going up against bigger units. Are you happy? Is there anything you guys are possibly going to be doing? Is there any type of, matchmaker system that's going to look at group size or anything like that to help sort of improve the imbalances of, solo players going up against bigger, organized units?
No, there's absolutely nothing like that.
Boy, that's a drastic change from the previous answer.
Is it? What was the previous answer?
No. I just mean your
Oh,
last.
I see. Short, yeah. No, I mean, guys, there's just not a solution. I mean, I know people are looking for solutions. There's not a solution unless you can bring in about 5 to 10 times more players into community warfare than there currently is. That's just the truth of it. It takes a lot of players to get a matchmaker to work properly. If you want it, people are going to want skill in play, size of groups, all the things that we have in the public queues and more. It sounds like it's just not feasible or possible. I mean, you have 12-man units, so and remember, because regardless, if you want to tell me you'll wait indefinitely, absolutely, we'll get to work on a matchmaker for community warfare right away. But we also get tons of complaints to say you wait too long community warfare. Make these auto win counters and these things way less. Matches, I want matches quicker, faster. Look, there's, even in the evenings right now during the close of the battle windows, 400 or 500 players in community warfare. Phase 3 with all the changes and the 44 scouting missions, hopefully we'll bring in quite a few more. But even if it doubled in player counts, that's still really not something that you can match make in that way and say, don't worry guys, you never have to go up against 12 mans, because then they're just going to say, well, I don't want to go up against any group players, right? It's not possible. We cannot recreate the solo queue and group queue separation in, I say this stuff and then who knows, 6 months from now, we might find a way or change our minds and come up with something. Things change. We get more players in community warfare, perhaps later this year if we go out in Steam or something and there's a lot more players, more options open up. But the only way you could really do it right now, the only thing that comes across my mind is if of the 10 planets we're saying are going up for contestation, you set aside some that are only for group players and some that are only for solo players, and then even that, someone might say, great, do it. Well, okay, so it's groups though, groups of 2 up to 12, and that means you'd have to take group sizes of 11 back out again, like you did in the group queue, so that you can make that work with groups of 2s and 10s and stuff, because you don't want solo queues in there. And everyone says, well, give them an option to go in there if they want. I mean, you can't have everything, right? So it's just not enough players to go around for all that stuff. So yeah, you'd have to have a group queue one, and then the solo queue one, though. I mean, let's face it, that's a bigger commitment in community warfare. I mean, it's 48 versus 48 max. They take 25 plus minutes a lot of times, and so the solo queue guys, everyone's just gonna be waiting a lot longer. Bottom line is the reason it kicks off and works as well as it does now is because you're taking everybody and putting them in those queues, and you guys have seen it. There's a lot of, I mean, I don't know what the average would be. I should look up that stat. I mean, some of you guys running 12 mans, you might get a different perspective of this, but when I play, I'm jumping in solo, and I get matches pretty quick. I mean, I'm pretty happy as long as I follow the combat call to arms and stuff. The system works pretty well, and a lot of the time it's a fairly mixed bag of, group and solo kind of on both sides. But sometimes you go up against that 12 man. But if we didn't do it the way we did it right now, then like everybody will wait longer. The group queue guys will wait way longer, and the solo queue guys, I don't know if they can even wait long enough. I mean, the amount of solo players that want to commit 25 minutes, enough of them to fill up entire 12v12 matches in Community Warfare the last 25 minutes. I don't know. So there's your longer answer, Darren. You said you wanted a longer answer. You got it.
Thank you.
That's a tough one. That is not something that's like that we're trying to do right now. I mean, we'll just have to continue to say we made Community Warfare for everybody, like we said we would. Everybody can come play, but we never said that we'd make Community Warfare just as easy or just as quick and as competitive and easy for solo players and small group players as for 12 mans. I mean, it was always about units, definitely. Mostly. I'd like to get more and more players playing in units, and I'd like to get some of the big units. Some of the design features I'm playing around with for Phase 3 and beyond are trying to get these big units of 200-300 to break up. I mean, sorry, there it is. I just threw it out there. I mean, I'd rather see, with the 10-minute countdown for auto win, you can probably have 3 to 4 12-mans and pretty much lock down a planet. So I'd rather see units in the, I don't know, 50 to 100 active players per unit rather than like 200-300, because you kind of spread the wealth around more, right? I mean, I know everyone's not logged in at the same time, but spread around the talent, spread the wealth, spread them around the factions more. Ideally we continue to incentivize sort of the unit that can field 3 to 4 12-mans, when everyone's on, kind of when they're really active, and that's kind of like the maximum size you want to be. The incentive to be bigger isn't there, so you'd continue to spread that wealth around a little bit. But that's just kind of more future ramblings. But right now we've got to focus on just more depth, all the stuff I talked about, and just more and more and more depth about making it funner and deeper to be in Community Warfare. I have to do that now. I can't. Otherwise, like, that matchmaker work is so significant. The trade-off would be, okay, none of the things I just listed, and like just focus on this group solo queue kind of problem for an entire phase, I guess, and then go back to this other thing. So I don't think the majority of players here listening tonight would take that trade-off yet. Some might say yes, but I think the majority would say no. We want all the things you mentioned in Phase 3. We still need more of that. Then when we have enough of that, maybe we can come up with a few ideas to help even more. And remember, there's the scouting queue now, so that's going to be a lot more forgiving for quick matches. You can imagine those matches will be no more than the public queue. They're probably going to average, 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even less with the 4v4 and scout mechs. So they'll be very quick, very, we could be pulling in lots of small groups, and we call to arms, we're going after those freelancers and filling up that scout queue. So there you go. Long answer. Next.
Cool.
All
Phil,
right.
you want to take? You got a follow up, Phil?
I did, but we can move on to this and roll in. Basically, the follow up comes from I saw this in chat. It scrolled up too quick, but someone was saying, currently with Community Warfare, basically we have open tonnage limits, 240 tons, and a lot of people complain about, light rushes or all Timberwolves or this and that. Have you guys thought about mixing that up? And if you have had thoughts on it, what are ideas that you guys have tossed around?
I don't know. I don't think I'll get into that tonight. I mean, yes, of course, at times we've had thoughts of, maybe it's 240 tons, but it's 1-1-1-1, so there's more of a mix of mechs versus, like the Thunderbolt deck or whatever, Timberwolf and Stormcrows, but the reception, and we get varying opinions, but it still feels like the majority of our players are telling me that no, they want the tonnage and they want the freedom to pick the mechs they want to pick with the tonnage level. So a lot of times our players choose that, even if it means potentially a lesser play experience. Similar problem with our matchmaking, say in the group queue and the public side, and some of the things that could be better if it was some more restrictions on mech. If it was more of a 1-1-1-1 across all the group sizes leading up to 12 in the group queue, we'd have much faster queue times and a much more even from an elo standpoint. But a lot of people don't want to give up that freedom. You know, they want to get with their friends and both run Timberwolves, and they don't really care about if it's an extra wait time or if I guess they're willing to put up with a little less competitive matches to play what they want. So I think the majority sentiment in community warfare is similar. They want the 240 tons and the um, freedom to select what they want. And so, but I would say I don't know, with the latest changes in community warfare, with the old gen changes in the spawn protection areas. By the way, I don't think it's perfect. I think the spawn camping protection areas are good. I think those have worked out well. I think the shell on the old gen is good. I do think we could do a little better job of placing the old gens, perhaps spreading the old gens out a bit more now that they have the shells. But I think that we will continue to tweak that. But I mean, I play as much as I can. I'm played a few matches a day. I haven't seen any light rushes since. I really haven't seen any just like Timberwolf heavy pushes either. So I don't know that some of those concerns, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're still fully present, fully valid, but there's a longer answer again to that. So right now we're sticking with tonnage.
All right.
Sounds good. Hey, I do want to remind everybody, we've had a couple, quick technical difficulties at the beginning of this, but this whole town hall meeting will be available shortly after the town hall is over. You'll be able to review it here on Twitch. We'll upload it to YouTube. It'll be on SoundCloud, on our podcast feed. So there'll be a lot of ways. Oh, and also, of course, Zeus will have the transcription up. So lots of ways to get any information that you missed. But we are going to move on. We covered a lot of community warfare phase 3 there. We may get some more questions in regards to that. And I believe Phil has one from J-Man5 right now.
All right. So speaking of which, J-Man says, I use a lot of ammo per mech in community warfare than in regular game mode. Is there any chance we could see some community warfare specific adjustments to ammo so that they are better balanced with energy weapons?
I don't know. That's not something I had thought of. Obviously, you'd be basically doubling the database items, and that might be a little bit difficult. Or maybe they can do more of a hacky change where you're in community warfare, therefore just add, a percentage of ammo. Yeah, it's not something we'd really thought of. I hadn't really heard that one before. I mean, on the one hand, I would say like, yeah, they're longer matches, but you got 4 max to go through, so I guess this probably is only more of a situation for J-Man because I see him running around in his freaking hunchback LRM boat.
DACA.
No, he's the
No,
LRM guy, isn't
it's the 4J.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude, the LRM good guy. I don't know. I mean, probably because you're living a long time, right, in community warfare and much longer, and it's, I'm
He's
sure
playing
a lot
too
of people may not feel that way because they get in there and they die, every 8 minutes, kind of like they do in the public queue matches. Takes them 30 minutes to go through their 4 mechs, but they're basically going through them about as quick as they do in public queue. So, yeah, no, sorry, J-Man, no thinking about that. That's kind of the first I've heard of that. So if that's been a running sentiment and complaint, it somehow missed my ears. Yeah, I guess I'll be following that topic and see if more of it comes up.
Yeah, there were a couple people in the MW Mercs thread that kind of seconded his question on that. But yeah, I don't know how huge of an issue it is. I guess we could just keep monitoring, see if more people have that problem. But let's move on to the next question, which is from Croc Daddy. He says, many competitive games run a ladder, which resets periodically. Maybe we could run Community Warfare as a 60-day ladder, have leaderboards for various teams, factions, etc. This would help keep things fresh. Now, you did mention leaderboards. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll have them. So, yeah, we could possibly, reset them seasonally. That doesn't really matter to us. Like, meaning the players in general. I know that in the past there's been some anxiety around the notion of a season, but maybe that was kind of mostly around the map itself. So maybe the leaderboards themselves could be reset every 60 days. I mean, I doubt you'd find Piranha Games adverse to doing that if that's what the majority of players told us they wanted.
All right, next question we have is from Kale17. He says, when can we expect to see some improvements to the Community Warfare UI? Member management sortable by player name or rank, coffers that can be sorted by date, donation amount, player name with donation history.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely one of those things that we felt like ever since, like last summer when the unit creation thing came out, it's like it comes up of like, look, there's a lot of features there we need to do. We need to get in there. We need to do another round of improvements on it. It just hasn't found its priority. But, you guys also, for instance, we got the feedback from the Looking for Group tool. We did collect that feedback and we do have it and we are going to schedule it. So that process is good. And we've seen it with the champion mechs recently and stuff. So I know Tina's listening here tonight. So I'm going to task Tina with, let's make that our next. I know at one point there was a document, I think, with all the requests and feature requests for that unit creation screen, but I guess I'm just going to want to renew that conversation now. And I guess I'll say, well, we'll go through that. Well, I'll ask the guys after tonight's meeting exactly what we have when it comes to documentation on that. And if it's lacking at all, then we'll do something similar where let's start a thread, maybe get the top 10 most desired features for the unit creation tab, and we'll, and then we'll try to prioritize it and make it happen. But I agree, it'd be great. We need more. Some of the things might not be feasible as far as, I don't know, database querying on some of the logs and history stuff that you've mentioned, but I'm sure there's a lot of them that are and would be easy to input if we just, identify those and prioritize it.
Excellent. The next question is multi-part from Don Steeler. Let's see. I'll just ask all three real quick. Can we have destructible gates instead of shooting the generators in community warfare? Can we have AI tanks instead of, or maybe on top of turrets? And then last one was basically community warfare conquest mode. Is it possible to get conquest mode in community warfare? You can answer any or all.
Okay, well, as far as destructible gates, that's always been something we considered from the beginning, but I think we felt like it was an ammo situation and also a situation where there was really, I mean, not a lot of strategy in there. You could sit back with ER larges and 800 meters out and just shoot the gate till it's destroyed. At least with the generators, I don't think there's a lot of action happening there. So I'm not saying I'm really happy with it, but at least there is maybe a fire and some sort of mechs taking some damage, getting the gates open. So yeah, we could look at that a little more and see. Ammunition would become even a worse problem. You'd have to use nothing but energy on it. So um, there's that. I mean, the tank thing, I think we'll see someday. I mean, maybe tonight we'll get a chance to talk about some of our PvE plans and AI plans. And certainly, I guess I'll just answer it like this. When such time comes that we have AI, be it tanks, helicopters, or even mechs, you'll absolutely see that in community warfare. And I don't know if that would, at the very least, you could easily see a situation where if perhaps there was an auto win going off, that you wouldn't be fighting nothing, but you'd be fighting an entire AI team. So it's more like a garrison team. So it wouldn't be as difficult or as anywhere near as difficult probably as player run team, but it would still be really cool to go up against a garrison team in that situation. So that's the kind of the extreme level of it, and there's probably a lot of steps to get there. And one of those initial steps might be, as you say, tanks and helicopters and infantry and like smaller AI bits to fill things out. So that's that. And the last one was what?
That was conquest mode. Is there any way to get a conquest mode type game mode?
Well, yeah, I think you'll find that the new scouting missions in the public queue maps have a lot of, at least the counter scouting in particular, has a very conquest type spin to it. It's kind of like an interesting interface and kind of quasi. It's very similar to conquest, but with very unique aspects added on top of it. So yeah, I think the scouting mode anyhow would actually fulfill that desire for you when you see it.
Excellent. Phil?
All right, next question we have is from Kai Kai. He says, will we be able to get Community War CW games counted for things like achievements and stats someday?
I'm not sure. It's a technical issue. When we were putting out Community Warfare Phase 1 in December, we were really time crunched, so that's a big reason why it ended up the way it did. But we were really time crunched to get it out, and it was obvious that the database hit for Community Warfare stats was just going to be epic. And So it got yanked, and it got yanked for good technical reasons. It doesn't mean it's impossible to add it back in. It's just it's not a small effort. So it definitely is one of those things where, we'd spend a decent amount of time on it for perhaps something that's not necessarily outwardly visible and credit worthy, I guess, or like, wow, good job, Piranha, this is great. Like it's almost like one of those hidden things where people feel like nothing's happening in the game when we're working really hard, but so it's always a debate like that, whether it's, just how valuable it is and if it's worth how much of our time it's worth. So it's one of those things. But that's kind of a little bit of back history. I'm not sure if you heard that before, but there was a big database concern on community warfare stats submission. So that's why it's not in right now. And I don't have a plan right now or, we don't have a plan right now as to when it would be coming on.
All right. The next question was posted many times in similar sentences, different ways. Somewhat controversial. Some people are like, we don't want new mechs. And then there's plenty of people that all they want to know about is new mechs. What's on the horizon? So this one is from Rogue Jedi. And he says, will we see clan battle mechs that are not Omni mechs, for example, the Kodiak or the 2C variants? Do you have anything to say on those?
I think the only thing I'll mention on new mechs is at least for now, it is so I did mention that we're having 2 new hero mechs finally. So I believe it should be July 7th patch, the next patch. We've got 2 hero mechs. I think they'll be a little bit controversial just because I think they're both very good mechs, and they will be the hero versions, meaning MC only mechs. One, the Thunderbolt is a cannon variant. It's called the Tall Man. Is that correct? I think that's what it was called. It's an energy boat. There's no jump jets, I don't believe, but there is basically 9 energy hardpoints. It's a cannon build. There's a energy in the right arm, which cannon build out is a large laser, and it's got 4 energy per torso, which are all mediums in the cannon build. So, in particular, that right torso has those really high energy hardpoints. The additional 2 energy hardpoints in the right torso are lower, but it's the upper 2 of the cluster of 4. If you match it, if you look at the left torso as an example, then you see it's the upper 2 of the 4, if you follow me. So it's just under the other 2. So they're fairly high still. So this mech will be getting not much in the way of energy quirks at all. There might be a small range boost, but no, cooldowns or heat stuff, because I think it's already going to be a beast. Focus a little more on sort of mobility and protection, like armor, but not up the firepower aspect of it. At least that's the initial way the quirks would go. So it's going to be a pretty darn good mech, I think. So there's that. The Wolverine is a created variant, but we try to give it a unique. It's a very asymmetrical build, all right side, kind of like the one Griffin, where you got basically have everything the right arm and right torso, but you've got a unique combination. The right arm is 1 ballistic, 3 energy, and the right torso is 2 missile. So you can imagine an AC5, 3 medium lasers in the right arm, and then perhaps up to 2 SRM6s or something in the right torso. So I think it'll be a very good for peeking around the corners in that one way. There is jump jets, I believe, and good speed, like 360 engine like the other. So very quick, mobile, and a right side centric, but with a unique combination also of hardpoints. So I think that'll be a really good mech too. So let's all the champion stuff is underway. Our guys have been really busy with the heroes and everything, but we don't have an exact time yet. Hopefully we'll get some of those redesigned champions in for the 21st patch. So there's some more mech information, and I guess that's all the mech information I'll throw out for now.
Sounds good.
Next question we have Sir Edward says, I was very excited when Russ tweeted that a new asymmetrical assault game mode was being looked into for the public queue. I think that the new game modes are a great way to spice public play and adds much needed depth and variety. Can Russ give any more details about the asymmetrical assault development, such as status or concepts?
Yeah, I can provide some insight on that. And actually, so it's kind of two things we're doing. So in thinking about creating a new asymmetrical game mode for public queue, obviously the number one thing we wanted to use was we wanted to use the Union class dropship in this game mode. And I don't mean for dropping mechs off. I mean for kind of the centerpiece of the game mode. So very, high level thinking would be, one side is defending this Union class dropship. Create the scenario in your head. It's down, it's under repairs, it's not powered up, defending it, it powers up, partially, and then more partially, and then fully towards the end, and maybe takes off. So maybe its weapons are coming online. And I know that'd be really cool. I mean, there's something there. I think it'd be really fun. Be very difficult to balance potentially for just how visible the Union is, and perhaps how we deal with the parts of the ship that you can damage. The sweet spots, or there's a lot of work left to do there. And the problem there was that the Union class itself wasn't going to be ready for us to use until probably to more like at least mid-August. So we can do some prototyping without it. So I want to wait for that to be ready. In the meantime, in discussion with some players and stuff, I'd come to a realization that we should change the existing assault mode. So I guess what I'm saying is I want to add a fourth new game mode that's asymmetrical in a scenario situation like I described. I don't know for sure. That'd be a little bit later into, say, the early fall based on the Union. So in the meantime, I do think there is value in us taking the turrets out of the existing assault mode. I think a little controversial, even just in the office here a little bit. I mean, I think there's a smaller contingent that would say, well, don't throw them out, just change them. Weaken them more, maybe make it so they can't detect ECM max. The problem is, yes, potentially with a lot more work and tuning and tweaking, we could maybe make them work. But in the meantime, I feel like they should probably come out because I don't think they ever really worked well. I think there was a desire to use the turrets to kind of create and add something more to MechWarrior. I don't know, maybe they succeeded on some levels, but we've got community warfare now where the turrets work well and kind of suit everything. Whereas in assault game mode, it is fair to say that it's really taken away, a third kind of unique game mode. It really forces it to basically become skirmish mostly because there really can't be a tactic for capturing the base because the turrets give like a 700-meter warning that anyone's approaching no matter what. I think what happened mostly, if a chain of events, was we had assault and conquest, and there was a lot of people that maybe didn't like the, mechs run in from the side because you weren't paying attention and you were sucking and they just captured base and it was just, Cap, we're online, this sucks. But we created skirmish mode for that. We gave people that, but kind of at the exact same moment we gave people that, we put the turrets in assault. So I think if you look at like the final from the 2013 launch event and the way the base came into play, I think the best course of action, at least for now, is to remove the turrets, and therefore we'll have conquest, skirmish, and assault. And it might be true that, like conquest does sometimes, assault might still become skirmish. But at least now, if players say that they want to play that game mode, first off, I think it might appear back in the comp scene stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is great, to have another mode in there that they would use. But there's more strategy there. For those players that do like that game mode, there is more reason to have a locus with a cap accelerator, and just there's a level of what they can't really do that with the turrets right now. They just be owned by the turrets and also told, that the enemy team doesn't have to look after the base because the turrets will tell them when someone's getting anywhere near close. So I feel like the majority of players will be happy with that change. I do recognize there's probably at least a minor contingent that are worried about, getting rid of turrets completely and having just like these fast cap matches that aren't necessarily fun either. But I guess what I'd say to that is we've got 3 modes now, and I would hope that people would just select all game modes because that's the best for the matchmaker and best for competitive matches. But at this moment, if you really don't like the cap gameplay, then you can choose conquest and skirmish. Those that would be welcoming of this change and we'd be excited to have assault back, great. I'm happy that you know, it's coming back. So I do think it gives us the 3 most unique and different from each other game modes, at least more so than trying to salvage the turrets. And so that's why I decided to take them out. So I think that's happening pretty quick. It may even be July 7th. I forget. Honestly, it's going to be soon, though. They're just going to be gone. So, you know, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, and it's not a big effort for us to, you know, put them back in or put in fewer of them, and you know, we'll see what happens. But like I said, we pulled them out, and we'll see how that goes, see how that settles back in, and see if people like it better.
All right, Russ, we're going to go ahead and roll into a 5-minute bio break so everyone can go refill their coffee, walk the lizard, do whatever they got to do. And we're going to continue going on. Just want to say thank you to everyone out there who is watching. This is the Town Hall meeting with Russ Bullock. And we'll continue on with the questions after a short bio break again. Thank you guys for being here. If you are new, again, my name is Phil. I go by Sean Lang in game, and I've also got Darren here, aka Bombadil. And if you are new and you're liking the discussion, hit that follow button. And guys, we'll be right back. Enjoy the All Systems Nominal.
Get out of here, stalker.
Image enhancement engaged. All points attacking your target.
All right, guys, and we are back. Hopefully you enjoyed some all systems nominal again. Just a quick shout out to Plexi, aka Ken, for all of his great work. Amazing. And of course, you can check that out on YouTube and check out his Patreon page and help support him directly. All right, Russ, let's go dive into the next question. And this is actually something that's been on Twitter and Reddit quite a bit. And I even think Paul posted a Twitter response to this. But I want to hear details. Kirku says, could... oh, sorry, wrong question. I jumped ahead, but Kirku asks, that's the next one. He says, could all of the double heat sinks using mechs... I'm totally fumbling here, hold on. Could all of our double heat sinks using mechs have first 10 double heat sinks as true double heat sinks 2.0, not 1.4, not just with engines at 250 plus? This would help small engines mechs like the Locust, Mislinks, Kit Fox, and of course, the, any new mechs that come around.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to be able to answer that tonight. I mean, I know it's been a bit of a topic lately. I think one way I'll answer that is I do also have interest in helping some of the littlest mechs. Like I do feel the pain trying to build out my Locust or my Commando or whatever, especially the little ones like that, 20, 25 tonners in particular. I don't feel it quite as much when I'm in 35-ton lights, but those small ones in particular, when you have to somehow jam those 3 double heat sinks on top of your engine just to meet requirements so you can take the mech out. I'm not sure if that's not, I don't think that's quite exactly the way they're phrasing the question. I guess in the past, it's also been brought up that, maybe for a light like that, like a Locust, do you really, I mean, you already have a heat management so high, but do you really need to have to put on those 3 extra heat sinks on top of the engine just to meet the standard, basic engine requirements, and therefore, have no room for anything else on such a small mech? So I don't know, I guess if that's kind of related, but really, I don't have an answer beyond that, but I guess I'll answer that was, I'm not looking at it as quite as broadly as like underperforming mechs, because I think that probably crosses over into a lot of mechs that aren't underperforming, possibly benefiting from it, unless I'm misunderstanding the question. But I am really interested in those light mechs in particular.
Let me rephrase this. What's going on is if you take the Locust as a 190, which means you have to put 3 additional heat sinks. Obviously, yes, it does add the crit, especially if you have doubles and weight. But the issue is when you do apply those, they don't get the 2.0 bonus that is already in the engine, but you're required to put them in. So that's what the suggestion is. Those 3 extra heat sinks that you put on, especially once you upgrade to doubles, should therefore be 2.0s. Then any additional would obviously just be 1.4s, but it's that initial extra 3 that you have to place on. Same thing with the Urban Mech as well, and the Commando has an additional 1 that you have to put on. That's what they're suggesting. They should be 2.0s, and then any additional would be 1.4.
Okay, I understand. So it's a little different way of approaching the problem. It's saying you still have to put them on, but they'll be better. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. We'll give that some thought. Because so it's is it at the 250 engine size then that you have less than 10 internal? Is that it? That's
Yes.
the okay. Yeah, well, that's interesting thoughts. Another way of kind of skinning it. Doesn't really solve the fact that by the time you get those 3 double heat sinks on your Locust, you've run out of crit space tubes, which is potentially still a problem. So, yeah, I think we need to do that in such a way that it doesn't benefit, say, uh, I don't know, like a fairly good hunchback build that runs uh, engine down, under 250 size and maybe getting even more benefit than they're currently getting for mechs that maybe don't need it so much. So some mechs might be getting benefits that you don't necessarily want to get benefits to, but that's the hard thing, right? Because no matter what solution you come up with, it's never probably going to just target the mechs you want it to target. There's probably some outliers that going to get the benefit too. So I don't have, obviously I haven't done all the research and know like the a list of mechs and engine sizes that it would affect, and is there any outliers there that would kind of sneak in and become problem mechs at that point or not? So I don't really know. I haven't done all the research, but I like it. I like the idea of doing something there. I do, especially for those small 20, 25 ton mechs in particular, I think.
All right, and I would like to remind everyone, if you're showing up late or just don't like to listen or whatever, the transcript is going up. Thanks, Zeus. We love Zeus. We appreciate all the work you're doing. Here's a link right there. It's in chat, so if you want to see what questions you might have missed in the beginning of the town hall, or if you want to look at it later, there it is. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Lego Pirate again. And his question is, there have been numerous complaints about jump jets, and in particular Class 1 jump jets. Are there any plans to revisit and revise jump jets, since it's still not beneficial to take more than one jump jet? Now, of course, that is an opinion. There's some people in that same thread on MWOmercs.com that disagreed with that, but we will stick with that question. And also there was specific questions regarding the Highlander. People want their Highlander love back. So any answer to that, Russ?
Well, all I'll say for now is there is a change coming in. I believe it's July 7th patch, the next patch for the Class 1 jump jets. Obviously, yeah, renewed conversation around with the executioner and whatnot. We took another look at them, and I'm not considering to say like I think all the jump jets are fine or like all the other ones are perfectly great and exactly where I want them. That's not true. But when, it's some of the there are some of the other classes in particular. I think 3, 4, and 5. There's some very jumpable mechs. I mean, whether it's my Vindicator 1AA or obviously certain spiders are the smallest ones, and even the quick draws and stuff like class 3 jump jets. There's a few builds that are really mobile. They jump extremely high and very quickly, and so we look at those. Class 2 and 1 we looked at the most, and this we did do a tweak to class 1, and it is it's incremental. It's not like a massive sweeping change to jump jets. But it is getting a bigger initial boost and a higher thrust. The thrust now more matches like class 2s with a little more initial boost. Essentially, but the fuel bar and how long you burn has been reduced a little bit to compensate. So basically, I think if you look at an example of like an executioner, you're going to go a little bit higher than you did before. Not a lot, but a little bit higher. But you're going to get there a lot quicker and then run out of fuel quicker. So you'll just be more lively. You'll go a little higher than before and you'll get there a lot quicker. And so I think it'll help. I think it's going to help all the class 1 jump jets. I would include the Highlander. So hopefully you'll feel a little bit better about those mechs after this patch. So we'll see where we stand after that, and we'll reassess. But it's just one of those things where to be really careful. I don't think anyone really wants major pop tarting to return. That's the big concern. I know we've got leg damage now. We've got the heat, but we'll see where we stand after this patch. So you are getting an incremental improvement for the class 1 jump jets this next patch.
Our next question we have is from OctoCat. He says, do you have any news on new weapons, mech packs, and AI being featured in Community Warfare or new game modes? Obviously, we were talking about that earlier. Also, what about new quirks? For example, a mech might have 20 or 30% more sensor range than standard base lore. kind of like the Atlas with its collapsible center disk.
Okay, well, I'll just latch on to one aspect of that question, and I will state that between ourselves, some help from some other people, including NGNG, we are looking at well, I guess the only way to put it is a complete top to bottom rebalancing of every mech in the game. So this will be different. So I guess the first caveat I'd put out there is if it doesn't pan out, we just won't release it. And the way we're going to be able to do that is we're doing the entire thing at once. It won't be incrementally like these mechs, then those mechs. It's like every single mech in the game will be done. We will have multiple public tests, hopefully at least 2, to test out and increment and tweak and improve it. And only such time as we feel confident that it's done, the community is in agreement that it feels done and it's great and it's a significant improvement over our current mech bounce system, then we will patch it into the game. And so I guess I can say, I mean, is it a quirk system? Sure, but it goes a lot further than that. And I guess you could essentially call it a battle value system. I know a lot of people have talked about that for a long time. You can think of it as MWO battle value because obviously we can't use pen and paper or anything. A game is totally different, and even if, like, for instance, the location of a hard point means so much in our game compared to pen and paper. So it does add a lot more. I think it's much more of a mobility, protection, firepower triangle of balancing. So but also we take everything in consideration. We've got screenshots of the front of the mechs, and we understand where the hard points are, and based on where they are, it gives them higher values versus lower values. So we're actually able to tweak everything, whether it's jump jets, ECM, high hard points, low hard points, and everything will be getting different values. And they're our best guesses in the beginning, and the public tests come in, so we tweak that. And part of that will be, we hope, will be things like signature radius, not signature radius, I guess, per se, but certainly more information warfare depth, where the locust or whatever, the scout mech, the certain mechs will get the target information much quicker than other mechs. So that'll also be a part that adds more depth. So the scout mech will be able to grab that target information much quicker. So there will be more advantages to have them and to have them go up front. And that's just one aspect. So, the quirks will be involved in this.
Yeah. Now, two.
Sorry, I just had to sneeze there. But
Okay.
sorry, I'll just conclude that thought and say, I'm fairly excited about it, fairly optimistic. I'm getting more optimistic each time I hear about it, and we're hoping for the best. And we will have everyone play test it, and again, it'll be an all or nothing type thing. It's going to be done, the whole thing, and everyone believes it and says, "Wow, this is great. Let's go." And then then we'll release it. So really hoping it what works out well.
So I got a follow-up. Paul says it's not like BV, but I think what he's meaning is it doesn't give a value as far as a mech like in a game, its strength and stuff. What I think Russ, you're pointing out is this BV, what you're referring to, just lets you guys know how strong a mech is and in what areas to allow you to tweak it. So just to sort of clarify,
it's not a direct translation of tabletop to video game battle value.
It's not like,
if any of you are looking for that, don't look for it.
Yeah, it's not like BV of a Timberwolf of 3,000 or 5,000, whatever. No, it's to help all the little nuances.
And the most important thing is it'll be on test, right? I mean, that's the carry home. It's going to be on test. Everybody's going to try it. Either it's good or it's not.
Yeah, I don't think this isn't really like going to be a matchmaker thing either. It's not like the matchmaker is going to be saying, "Here's all the battle value on this side. Let's match up all the battle value on the other side." It's more of a system for us to try to even out all the mechs with each other much better than we were able to do with so far with the existing quirk systems. We've done our best, but there were some limitations there. So starting over again with and considering everything from jump jets to we tried to consider that stuff in the beginning, but anyhow, it's a little early to give better details on that. But the idea is that we consider everything, location of hard points and everything, and then focus a lot more on like mobility and protection too than we did in the past, as being things that we tweak versus just weapons and firepower. So hopefully at the same time, I think you should expect that hopefully we can, this will probably get people all alarmed, but like dial back on power creep, right? Just that like the only way to make this mech compete with that mech is to make its weapons wickeder too, and that mech's weapons wickeder, and then it's better if we can kind of start from scratch, so to speak, and everything will be much better balanced with each other, and not only by making more mechs more powerful or nerfing and dialing back mechs, right? So if we focus more on mobility and protection and those things, and then just be careful with the weapon quirks, hopefully there'll be a lot less outliers of super quirked weapons and/or people feeling like their mechs are being nerfed. So there you go. Run with that and go crazy and make up all sorts of half truths. Go.
All right, Russ. Question follow up. Sula says, "What's the time frame for this?"
When?
I don't know. I hope that we can have a public test in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to have the first public test in by mid-July, but I'm just kind of guessing here for now, and hopefully then we can have a public test a couple weeks after that, and maybe a couple weeks after that. So I would certainly like to see this live. In August, maybe like second patch in August. So that's just really reaching on guesstimating. So I'll have to put the pressure on all the people doing it. Make sure we get our first public test going as quickly as possible.
Awesome. I'm just watching chat. A lot of positive reactions there. It's going to be fun. So if you're wondering what you were going to do this summer, there you go.
I did see another. Sorry, I gotta chime in here. Someone asked.
Follow up?
Yes, because you mentioned a few things. The question was, are you also including sensors in this rebalance?
Well, I mean, I think I said that, right? Like,
pretty much said everything is
basically-
included.
Okay.
yeah, everything possible. I mean, how quickly you can target and lock on and relay targeting information and all that, if that's what he means by sensors.
I think he was talking about range. Like right now, I think all mechs are like 800 meters, something like that.
Yeah, some of those things are possible. We might have to make some programming adjustments, but I don't know for sure on all that.
Solid. Next question, Derek.
All right, here we go. Next question is from Ender Assassin. He says, is there any hope that the map updates will remove that horrible filter on certain maps from what it looks like? Sorry, some of the writing on this is difficult to read. From what it looks like, River City might be getting that brown filter removed. I'm assuming he's talking about the Instagram teases and so forth. So will Forest Colony be getting the same, or getting that darkening filter removed, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm getting at.
Yep, yes, we will, of course.
Bam! Do you want to talk about, I guess, what are you guys calling it? The beautification of maps?
Whatever. We'll go in the map makeovers or whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Take it away.
Okay, so you guys know mostly, I think, what's coming at this point. But River City, first one, it's a lot bigger. I mean, if people use those outer regions, like I hope they do, it's significantly bigger. It's more of a, I don't know, Caustic Valley sized map. I think plus it's a lot more denser. You guys haven't seen it really, but this a lot more city. There's several more areas with a lot more buildings. It definitely feels more city brawling. Probably not as much as you'd still want, but probably at least, I don't know. All in all, it must be 3 times denser than before, I would guess. And then you have all new lighting, of course, because you do have the time of day. So the time of day will be, the way we're doing it is, because we want to see, some movement in the sun while you're playing, but We don't want to be ridiculous where it's doing like a 24-hour cycle and like 15 minutes a game. So it'll be essentially you'll randomly get one of 4 time slots for River City. You'll get, and each one's like 6 hours. So you basically have a dawn, dusk, noon, nighttime.
Sunrise, sunset, something like that.
Yeah, noon, sunrise, sunset, and all nighttime version. And the all nighttime version is definitely not like River City Night. Like it's you can play it without night vision. Like I think you can always see silhouettes of mechs, and it's, there's street lights, and the street lights actually work, and they actually turn off when you smash them. So, in fact, when the sun sets and it gets a certain level of darkness, then all the street lights in the city turn on, and so they're dynamic like that. And then as you crush them and stomp them and knock them over, they turn off. So that's cool. Plus, of course, I just said there's collisions with them. You knock them over and then they turn off and whatnot. And then, of course, there's the trees. You smash them down with your mech. You bump into them, hit them. Your weapons will hit them, but I want to clarify something here. A lot of people think there's tactics where you will hide behind the trees. No, your weapons, like say your missiles or your autocannon shells, they will collide with the trees and knock the trees down, but it does continue on and hit the mech as well. It's not going to be providing protection, but the immersion is there, like the smashing of them, the hitting them, the knocking them down, and we do hope that we'll be able to burn them. I mean, they do light up when you hit them with stuff, but I'd like this. Obviously, it'd be cool if we could model swap in the future too, where you see like a crispy burnt tree. But I think they're great. You get to knock down the trees. You got the time of day. You got the new lighting. You got much bigger, a lot more city, a lot more densification. So I think all in all, it's definitely. I've played it. I think it's gonna be great. So that's the first one, and then obviously the founders event voted on the Forest Colony. Yeah, and it's gonna be similar, meaning it's much bigger. Definitely it's gonna be made up to be at least as big as the new River City, and it'll have all new lighting, and it'll have the time of days, and there's more water, there's more upper hills area, there's just
grass.
Yeah, of course it'll be trees, and the foliage is so much better now in the new map too. So I brought up trees, but even just the ground foliage is a lot better, and all the rocks, like pretty much all the models have been updated. So all the rocks and stuff are way more detailed, and River City, there's also these big, like the river's wider and such, and there's some big rocks in the river in various areas. So basically, kind of where that middle theta point is and stuff, there's more protection, so you can actually be in those areas and not just getting sniped from all over the map. So so the same thing for Forest Colony. So, and I should say, obviously, each one of these maps is now getting drop ships. So the initial drop off will be you'll be flown in and dropped off the 3 lances via Leopard class drop ship. So it's just a little immersion stuff because there's not drop ship respawning, but the initial drop off was with the Leopard class drop ships, and that'll be added to Forest Colony as well. So as we do this, we'll add that. So I don't know that for sure we'll be doing this process to if that is a priority that we're going to be doing it to every single map. We want to get the drop ships in every single map, of course. So maybe there's a Tourmaline Desert that we're not. It's not like a super high priority to get in there because it's so small or whatever. It's a pretty good map. I like playing it. We'll get the drop ships in there, and then of course we'd like to do the time of day. So at the very least, we can do those things. I can also mention. I will mention that we are working on Alpine now as well. So, in fact, I think we're about ready to hand that off to Art. So, I don't know. With that one, it might get more of a drastic change just because it was so unfair based on what side. So it's going to be more symmetrical, and I think I may even rename it from Alpine Peaks to Alpine Valley, and we have more trees, and you can just imagine time of day, the trees, the drop ships, everything. So, as you can tell, we're trying to go to the worst maps, or the oldest ones, the ones that have the biggest problems with being too small or other reasons. So, those 3 were the priority for us. After that, we could start to maybe assume that Terra Firma needs some work, needs some of the zillion pathways removed and densified and various things. But a map like that, I'm not sure if you would have a time of day. So I don't know if we give time of day and everything, but certainly you do the drop ships in that case, and then fix up some of the pathing so it's better. So there you go. Right, we got the 3 maps in the works for sure right now, and obviously we'd like to see eventually every map have at least the Leopard class drop ships just for a extra level of immersion for players to get dropped off like that.
All right, next question.
Hold one real
Oh,
quick.
no.
Just on that topic, I would like to point out to everybody that the devlog number 12 is almost done. It was actually supposed to come out today, but basically the schedule for this town hall bumped it a little bit. But in that devlog, all of this is discussed. What Russ was just talking about, basically the beautification of maps. We got a couple devs talking with Tina. They talk about the art pass, 24-hour cycle, semi-destructible environments. We're talking the trees and the lampposts, and soon it'll move maybe to some other things. Drop ships coming in, like Russ mentioned, optimization, gameplay optimization, the trees, like there is so much optimization just in the trees, so there's a lot more trees on the map, etc. All this is discussed. Devlog number 12 coming out probably tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that, and you'll get a lot more information on what Russ was just discussing.
Hey, Russ, actually, something that was just suggested, I don't know if you'd put any thought into this, even though you guys are updating and or replacing some of these older maps, would you be willing to at least leave them so private matches can use the older maps?
You just had to ask it, didn't you?
Well, I saw the chat. Like it was.
I would be, of course, willing to do so, but apparently there's a technical reason why that might not be possible. So I don't have the details, so I can't really answer that tonight. So, yes, of course I'd be willing, but they might not be able to.
Roger that. All right, next question we have. Lego Pyre asks, any plans for Clan Hero Mechs? This gets asked every single time, and if so, how is the Omnipod system going to work with them?
Yes, and I don't know yet.
Bam.
Moving on.
Do you have a follow-up? No. All right. Next question. East Indy asks, recently you said on Twitter that you personally would love to see the group queue, you love this topic, I'm sure, limited to 4 players. Basically, it's the whole 4 players versus limiting it to 4 players versus letting everybody bring all their friends. Group size. Do you have anything to say about group size?
No, probably not going to go there.
I mean, I know you've been having this discussion on Twitter for weeks.
Yeah,
so.
it's the same as always. I mean, there's no doubt that if we had Lance only, and if it was 1-1-1-1, it'd just be magic for the matchmaker. Just magic. It would be so fast and so much more competitive, and just no doubt about it. But right now, players are telling me, the majority that I can tell, perhaps even the large majority, that they would rather play with larger groups of friends. And I don't quite understand it myself, but I'm not trying to understand it. I mean, people, that's what they want. I'm not prepared at this point, anyhow, to take it away. It's there, and I watch some of the streams. I don't see how it's fun as a large 12-man to just roll through people like that, but they seem to enjoy it. I guess they like winning. Everyone likes winning, but yeah, I'm not a big fan. Of course, I like the fact that they can play all together. I mean, that's cool, right? It's just tough because there's no real great solution. Like, you could try to say, well, geez, let the 12-mans fight against each other. Well, it's kind of what we used to have, but for the 8-man thing. So like, if you make the 12-man just sit there and just wait and wait and wait until another 12-man shows up, they're gonna be waiting a lot, way longer than they are currently. And then, we've got the hard options in the game modes right now, right? So it just compounds it. So there's a 12-man sitting there, just waiting for another 12-man to show up. Oh, great, another 12-man does show up, and they're perfect as far as elo and skill. But guess what? They said they're skirmish only, and the other guy said they're assault and conquest. We can't even put them together. So they just sit there. They're both, 2 of them in queue now. They're just waiting. Got to wait for another one to show up. Hope that they have compatible game modes. And then if their elo is extremely different, it's going to wait 3, 4, or 5 minutes before it finally opens up enough to match one of those with that 12-man. It's not very good. And then if you take the 12-man out, then is there really that much difference, and where do you draw the line? Then there's the 10-mans in there. Well, they're the new powerhouse of the group queue, right? So Everyone says 10's too much. Damn it, take out the 10-mans. So it really is kind of all or nothing. It's sort of like we leave it the way it is, or you go all the way down to like Lance size.
Then the clanners will want a star. So.
Well, so I have a question in regards to this. I know I've talked about this in length on Steam, and I know this is a town hall, but regarding that, Russ, I mean, if your position, you got to do what's best for the game, and of course you're looking out for the customers and what they want. Just for the game itself, if four-mans or whatever smaller groups are actually better for the longevity of the game, is it one of those things where you have to possibly weigh that and say, hey, sorry guys, you have other opportunities to, get bigger groups? I mean, I know it's tough because it goes both ways. I enjoy playing with the bigger groups as well, but for just game balance and longevity, is that something that, I'm sure you, weigh it a lot, but can you give a little bit of thought on that?
Well, I mean, I think you just kind of answered your question. It's a little bit weighted question. It's like the answer really is just like, yes, of course, I have to consider that. I have to consider what's best for the game, longevity game, all those things. So, yeah, of course. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, you've already, this question started off with you personally said you would love, so your personal preference has already been, listed. Obviously, it's a lot of big decisions and something that you're not ignoring, you're paying attention to, but there's nothing that is changing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. And hopefully the players, and especially those that are extremely vocal about it. And here's what I also plan to do this too, and I haven't yet. I need to go and take the time and mine all the stats. Because I think the stats still show that like something like, I'm just going to guess here, so I need to back this up with real numbers, but something like 80-90% of matches are with group sizes of 4 or less. I mean, the group sizes bigger than that are rare. I think it's going to be far less than 20% in the 5 or bigger. So you have to consider that. As much as some players love it, it's hard to make a feature exist when it's so few players taking advantage of it, especially when it's impacting all of it. Now, I was just getting some message here from some staff internally, so I'm still going to say this cautiously because I haven't verified these stats myself or like had a conversation with them. Apparently 6% of matches have groups of 5 to 10, which leaves 94% is 4 or under, and then I guess 12s are in there, but they're very small. So even if we give a percentage to 12-mans, then you're looking at about 93% of groups. Sorry, that's matches. 93% of the matches launched would contain nothing but groups of 4 or less. So those are the real stats. 7% are running have matches with groups of 5 and more in them. It's not, obviously, that's a tiny amount of the groups. And it's impacting, I guess, everyone's play, although I guess,
at least on a perception level, right?
Yeah, because in fairness, that means that, how often does that tell us the guy in the 4-man group is running up against a 12-man truly, right?
If only 6% are larger than, yeah.
So now some would be more than others because perhaps their elos are higher in that lance, and therefore they're quicker for the matchmaker to put them up against the few existing larger groups. So it's hard to say for sure, but there's some fairness involved there in saying, well, maybe we shouldn't hear as much complaints as we do if, only 7% of the matches have groups 5 or bigger. How often are people really running into those larger groups and then getting smoked by them? Or it's just when you do get smoked by them, just how incredibly frustrating it is. So there's some stats I guess we'll throw out there and let everyone chew on. And I guess in other fairness, I think that if everyone's, just trying to, I don't need anyone tweeting me and saying, don't you dare or I'm done and all that kind of drama. I don't need it. I never said I'm taking it out. I'm just stating some facts here so everyone can chew on them. We're trying to all just soak up all the information, right? In other fairness, like since we put the group Q in, as far as allowing any group size in there, things have changed, right? Like, I don't know for sure at what level the private match window was in at that point. I can't really remember for sure. I think we had private match window, but so essentially players, if they want to run big 12-man groups, we have a fairly fully fleshed out private match window. And of course, the bigger thing is community warfare. Community warfare is there for the big groups, for the 12-man units in particular. It's in fairness, they could say, well, there's ceasefire windows. What are we going to do during the ceasefire windows? We'd like to jump in Group Q as a 12-man during the ceasefire window. Okay, that's fair. The real action community warfare really takes place in the last 2 to 4 hours, not before. So we jump into Group Q. Okay, that's fair. So, there are other outlets now for the bigger groups that we didn't have in the past, which is, again, is a fair statement. But, like there's some arguments both ways, and I don't know. So there we go. We'll leave it at that for now. Let everyone chew on it further and debate. But like I said, I don't need any brand new posts or tweets threatening me. I'm just giving you some information.
All right, we have Adam Baines, Steam update.
That's a question. It does have a question mark at the end. Steam update?
I don't really have a Steam update. Other than anything I've said in the past, we think there's still a high probability that we're going to Steam. We're trying to make the best decisions possible for the game by getting it as ready as possible before we go on Steam. That's a tough thing. It doesn't mean that we're going to be waiting for everything we've talked about here tonight, but there are aspects that we are waiting for in particular. One thing we haven't talked much about here tonight is the new tutorial. And that's exciting because it is kind of the beginning of, like our PvE type content. Don't take that to mean that we're creating tons of AI like right now actively, like AI is like practically done, nothing like that, but we are working on it. We are starting to work on it, but this tutorial does have a significant amount of, voiceovers and new triggers and total new UI elements on the HUD for showing people how to, do a walking course or a target range, and just all the, PvE-ish triggers and scripts and dialogues and the things that you need. It's all being built into this new tutorial, which is really great for the tutorial. So from a Steam perspective, we have the new tutorial. There'll probably be a new launch flow for brand new players that just register being sent into the tutorial to finish at least the 2 basics before they come out. And we're working on that flow, and that's probably the most critical thing left. And then when we have it, we still feel strongly that we'll go on Steam, and I don't know when that is for sure. It's late summer, early fall. I'll just define it as that. So I guess late summer goes to September 21st and early fall, so September, October. We need to get the tutorial in there and the new flow for new users, and we'd like to make some tweaks to the matchmaker too. And I guess I'll talk a bit about this. Something I've been hounding on for like 2 years. I don't know whether I could describe this as a change to ELO or just a new system. It doesn't really matter semantics of terminology, but the gist is right now players' ELOs really don't go up unless they're in groups. That's just kind of the nature of it. It's just, if you're in solo queue all the time, even if you're the top third of your combat score match after match, you probably win on a 50-50 basis, or 49-50% win rate, and you slowly go down or stay the same. So I've never liked that. I've always felt it didn't work for our game. We needed to have a system, and Paul and I have been discussing, and he agrees with me that we need a system at the very least that your skill level number, whatever you want to call it, even in a losing match, may not go down because maybe you played really well and were like one of the top combat scores, but you lost. So your skill number should probably at the very least stay the same and not go down. And then in the winning situation, if you just sucked big time, died in the first 6 seconds, your elo or your skill level number probably shouldn't go up. It should probably stay the same. So there's more situations. It's more based on how you actually performed. So the reason we'd want to do this, and then also create buckets of like top skill level people will only drop maybe a maximum of 2 buckets, but not all the way down to like the last bucket. So it's more protection for actual noob players. People with cadet bonuses, maybe we'll give them an even lower initial number, so they're only fighting each other, hopefully in the beginning. But with the change on the way the skill number works, they'll actually climb up and out of it, versus where now it's very difficult to climb up if you're just playing solo queue all the time. So those are, those between the tutorial and that system, which the secondary system is going to benefit everybody, I think. But those are basically kind of our 2, I guess, number 1 items, if you will, on our hit list to happen before such time as a Steam release. So we're most ready for those new players as we can possibly be.
Just real quick to touch on the in-game tutorial, because we did have a couple questions about that. Any chance, people were comparing it to other games, that within the in-game tutorial, new players will get rewards for completing the in-game tutorials? Or is it too early to say that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, people just were wondering if there would be in-game rewards for completing the in-game tutorials. So a new player, it would encourage them to complete the tutorials and get the basic skills.
Course. Of course, yeah, we'll have that. Yeah.
Yep, cool. All right, the next question was from Alistair Winter. He says, Russ, can you give us any update on when the pilot skill tree will be changed, and if you have plans to do more than just replace the pinpoint accuracy skill?
Sorry, say that again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting distracted here. I was
no problem. We know you're still at the office, and there's people doing stuff around you. No problem at all. Just Alistair Winter wants an update on the pilot skill tree, whether it's going to be changed, any updates to it. Obviously the pinpoint accuracy skill doesn't do anything, so just wondering if there'll be more changes than just replacing the pinpoint accuracy skill.
Yeah, I don't have anything there yet. The reason being is it's not that we don't agree. We need to do something there, but as you know, we get our resources tied up in certain areas, and our resources on the front end have been tied up for a number of months now with the new mech lab and whatnot. So what I can do instead is give you a bit of an update of how those resources have been busy. And obviously you already know about the new mech lab. So the July 7th patch will have an update to the mech lab, which will bring the expanded view. I think I've said this in the roadmap, but just to say it verbally, the expanded view will now work for all 720p resolutions. So it means it works for everything but our 2 smallest, like 4x3 resolutions. So basically, for the resolution smaller than 1600 by 900, the warehouse will be a rollout functionality from the right side, but it works quite elegantly. As it rolls out, you grab a weapon, and as soon as you drag that weapon like 3 pixels, the warehouse rolls back away, so you can get access to those components that are right there underneath the warehouse. So I think it works quite elegantly, and it works. Everyone's going to like it, so that's good. And then we are currently actively working on the new mech select screen right now. So I can tell you that I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's way better than the original mech select screen in every way, and it does take a ton of feedback from the players and what they wanted. So it's going to be more information than ever. It's going to give people the kind of grid functionality if they want, but they could switch into more of the drop-down boxes if they like that better. But there's just a lot more filters, a lot more capability. So you want the big mech, big wall of grid of view, and a lot more information about hard points, and the mech stats will get another work over. So the mech stats everywhere in the mech lab and the store and in this select mech area will be even more robust with more information and a big improvement. It shows everything, quirks, modules, and everything like that. And I wanted to save this as a little surprise, but I guess I'll just tell you. I just can't help myself. Yeah, I mean, there was a suggestion by the players on some of the mock-ups that looked really cool, but we didn't think we'd be able to do it. But Brian Wendover really just kind of took it on as a side project and got it done in a few days, and we're quite happy to pleased to announce that we will have um, basically the mech select screen will be filled up with your custom paint jobs and whatnot. So as you will have the default, no, so the new default image would not be the full standing T-pose mech that looks a little bit silly. It will be a much up closer kind of, waist up, tilted image like some of the mock-ups the fans made. So I think it's much better and more impressive looking in general, even for the stock ones. And then as you go in and put your custom, mech weapon configurations and of course paint jobs, as you save your mech in those screens, it will take a new image and use that for your mech select screen. So you will be able to really fill out your collector's Uber paint job kind of look in there. So that's really cool, and I think it looks awesome compared to the other ones. So great suggestions by the players, and I think the new mech select screen is going to be amazing. Timing, we're hoping first patch in August. Let's not hold our breaths. Let's just say August. So that's not too long. So I hope that sits well with everybody. But there you
Well,
go. So
chat-
that's what people have been busy about on the UI front. So when we're done that, then we can finally turn our attention back to things like the skills area and of course the decals again, right? It's just waiting. So we want to go
Deckle
there as
hype.
soon as we can.
All right.
Chat is super happy right now, except for Paul just did the Darth Vader. No.
All right.
But
So
anyway.
got a follow up, Russ. UI scaling.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, it's just we want it, we need it, we're gonna do it. I don't have anywhere near a timeline for that though for you. So we know we need to do it. It's gonna take us a couple months of focused effort. So it's one of those things where I just don't feel like we can take the couple months to do it until we finished off some of these things. And obviously the mech lab and the new mech select and those things need to get done, and then we'll reassess like what the most highest priority thing is. Is it going to be in the skills tab? Is it going to be UI scaling? And if it's UI scaling, great, then we'll do that at that point. So we're going to do it. I don't have a timeline for you yet.
Hey, Phil, before you start the next question, I think we do need to address something in chat because it's been mentioned now like 500 times.
It's
Russ?
decals, right?
Decals,
Decals,
everybody wants to
Dickles,
know.
What?
However you pronounce it. Decals, decals.
Yeah, sorry, was another question on that?
No, I think they were just making fun
Yeah,
of.
so yeah, decals, decals, they like I said, geez, it's not like there's most of the work's done. We just have to bite the bullet on a little extra time to finish it off. But we just needed the mech lab and the mech select and all those things done first.
I have a feeling they'll be popular. Anyway,
And
Phil,
then there will be some. There'll be. I guess I should say this. Like we have the mech lab, then we're gonna do the mech select, and then we might actually. Then there'll be some time that the UI guys are gonna have to focus on getting the stuff we need for Community Warfare Phase 3, this new screens and the new stuff that we need to support that. It's not a lot, but there's some. And then we kind of go back to improving the UI. So it's just, we kind of do one thing at a time with certain people.
Always something.
Our next question we have is Tiger Lily. Can we have a chassis leaderboard that resets each month? Maybe the top 3 of each board at the end of the month get a small prize. Number 1 gets a floating title of Top Gun or something like that.
Sorry, in what situations would you get a new title?
Solo and group queue, like have a a leaderboard that resets every month or maybe every quarter or something like that. Basically, an actual active leaderboard. You how we do the weekend and events and stuff, but this would be a ongoing where people can.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. It's not something I've really thought a lot about, but I would suggest that basically since I said we're having a leaderboard functionality in Community Warfare in the client, that kind of opens the door. So I would assume that as soon as we get Phase 3 out and we have those leaderboards in Community Warfare, then we would have unlocked the ability to at least fairly quickly also add some leaderboards to the outside of the faction tab, and more the home screen, I guess, which would be about public queue. So yeah, I think that'll be a possibility for us once we build that functionality into community warfare. We should be able to also, do that from the public queue.
All right, the next one is from TV's Brent. He says, could we see a more functional chat window in the game, one that consolidates all the various chats as tabs? In addition, would it be possible to set this up as a transparent, movable window so that we are able to edit mechs and perform other activities while still being able to chat?
Yes, please.
Well, I don't know about dragging it around. I can't comment, but even the various things, people are probably thinking. I mean, probably anything's possible, but I think people are probably thinking like faction unit and all the stuff that they have now in the queue window, like in-game chat. But you have to remember things are very different. I'm kind of stepping into the programmer's territory here, but I think I'm going to get this right, is that once you get onto a dedicated server, then you're on the dedicated server, right? You don't have, the information about your faction or your unit or any of that stuff while you're on that dedicated server. You only have team and all at that point, just like you do currently. So I don't know if that's exactly what they're meaning. Yeah, I don't think you can chat with your faction or your unit or any of those things when you're on the dedicated server. So when you're playing an actual match, some things that I would like to see, I think that are the priority improvements though, are some of the other functionalities that we have in the front end though, where ideally you'd be able to right click on a name and mute them or send them a friend invite or do a bunch of things like that you can do in the front end that you can't do in the in-game chat. So yeah, there's a number of improvements we could do there, but I just think it's important people understand. I don't think they should expect like unit and faction chat and all that kind of stuff when you're in the game and on a dedicated server playing an actual match.
I think this is more referring to is just when you're in the mech lab, you have to then click the chat button. It brings up.
Oh,
Well,
you mean
you
completely in the front end?
Yeah, you
No,
can't.
he said in game. Actually, this question
Okay.
was in game.
Well,
focused,
in game.
but-
Well, what I'm saying is in the mech lab, like when you're customizing, you have to then click a button, then you have to exit out of that to go back to the mech lab. Where if you could just have a chat window that you didn't have to keep closing and opening just to be able to configure your mech.
That's your question though, Sean. That's not even his, man.
No, I thought that was. Could we see a more?
No,
function-
it's a good idea. I don't know.
I know that's
the
what I.
answer.
That's I totally. Could we see a more functional chat window in the game? That's his first question. That's legit. It's on the screen. I have proof.
Anyway,
All
wanna
right.
move on to the next one.
Yep. Are there any comments that you would like to make on the future PGI's work against cheating within the game? How do you see Steam release affecting this with a hopeful large influx of players?
Well, we're currently actively working on it still. I can say that we do have a list of players right now that we have on our ban list. We like to potentially do these things in waves, and I won't get into it here because the parties that create cheat applications and stuff like that are always they're very good at what they do. They're very clever. So I can't give out all of our tactics and what we do, but I'm just saying we sometimes hold on to people that we know are cheating, that we have absolute proof in various ways are cheating, and sometimes they don't get banned right away, and they have to wait because we're going to use them in certain ways as guinea pigs and everything else. So just because you haven't seen maybe a post of like continual ban waves, the only thing I want to say is that doesn't mean we're not working on it. We are still doing that, just like you saw us do. And yeah, you'll see more ban waves come out. But I want to take this moment. It's the first time I've been able to say it verbally. I don't want anyone to take this wrong and say that I'm sitting here publicly saying that there isn't a problem. I mean, there's some cheaters in our game, but we were very pleasantly surprised at how many, meaning that there wasn't too many. This also kind of goes back to a lot of the engineering choices we made in the past. I mean, our game is completely server-side capable, and so I think, and based on the design of our game too, with the armor and the armor tanking and the various notion of the way our game works, people that are using it They are getting some advantage, but sometimes we see some really bad players using it, and they're still awful. I don't know if it even helps them. The very best players, though, using it, yeah, that's a problem. And so we've got systems in place. We've got all systems. I know people were wondering, like, I think we were really underestimated too from those groups at the beginning that we maybe wouldn't be able to detect them, and we've proven that we can. And so yes, we are going to be combating them. We don't want to spend too many resources on it, but we'll always spend at least some. You can be sure of that. And as far as the Steam picture comes, I don't know. We'll see. We've got our methods in place, and I guess we just have to play that by ear when things happen. But again, I think the original question is just like, are you still doing anything? Yes, we are. We're still actively doing stuff and actively detecting and finding.
Hey, Russ, I get people poking me on TeamSpeak and various places all the time talking about cheaters, wanting to report cheaters. If somebody suspects a cheater, what should they do?
Don't they have a
Supported MWO. I mean, Tina's in
Yeah,
chat.
I thought they had a specific email set up for that now, or maybe a method in which to submit a cheating report. Maybe it's just in the subject heading and stuff. I don't know. Sorry.
All right. Well, Tina will pipe in and let us know. First, or the next two questions I'm going to kind of group together, and I'll explain why after I ask them. The first one's from Sula. It says, as it stands, there are a few maps that require the use of heat or night vision. Will we see any changes in the upcoming map updates? Will we ever see weather effects in maps a la Frozen City? I'll address that in a second. The second one is from Ender Assassin. Since we are getting physics objects knocking over trees and lampposts, will there be any possibility of a mech being able to crush cars or crush weak, small fences and making mechs be able to knock down other mechs? Now, that question obviously is talking about semi-destructible type items, the small stuff, and then it's also talking about mech collisions, which maybe you can address. The point I wanted to make with both these questions, though, is that both these questions are going to be addressed in devlog number 12. So, Russ, you can feel free to say, watch that, or you can address, weather or collisions and destructible stuff if you want to, even though you already have talked about destructible items.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say I don't really have much in the way of weather right now to talk about. Obviously you've seen we can do it. It's just with even going back to Frozen City. But so I don't have anything else on that right now. I guess we're just focused on the time of day and the other things we had. As far as like stomping on a truck and have it swap out to like a crushed, burnt out one. Yeah, we can do that right now. We focus on the trees and lampposts, in particular for River City and Forest Colony be trees. It's just a matter of time of just modeling the destroyed versions of those things, and so we can certainly go back and do another pass and add that to the game as well. Like right now, the priority is the trees and getting real trees in our matches. So, I mean, there's a couple areas where we were lacking in immersion, and one of them was in particular was the trees. Trees and lampposts were the big offenders, so we're focusing on those. And I guess I will say that we are getting, we're not, don't mistake this for knockdowns. So there isn't like a new mech on mech, full-blown collision system yet in the game. But I believe with the July 7th patch, you are getting a new level of collision interaction with your mech and other mechs and your mech with buildings. So when you hit a building or scrape up alongside the building, you actually will hear it and see the spark effects now as you scrape up alongside of a building. And I believe if you're bumping up against other mechs and scraping past mechs, you will see and hear the impact and particle effects of that happening. So it's just a minor thing now. Like I said, it's not knockdowns or that level of collisions yet, but it is another level of immersion that you actually feel like you're hitting and colliding with walls and buildings and other mechs with sounds and particle effects.
Baby steps.
Next question, Bad Arcade Kitty. Are there any plans for some additional fluff animations similar to that at the beginning of the drop when the pilot starts the mech, or ejects, hangars, techs, etc.?
No, I don't know. I think we're gonna definitely want to make a new pilot model still, but that'll get some modeling time. We'll get it done, but I can't comment on other animations right now. So I do have a few things left on my list, and I know it's already 10 after 8, so maybe Maybe I should cover those off,
Yep,
unless you guys.
that sounds
I mean,
good.
I know you probably still have a lot of questions, right?
We always have a lot of questions left over. Do you want to? You do have a topic or two I know you want to discuss, and then do you want to take a few questions from the audience, and then we can call it a night?
Yeah, well, let me get through my subjects here, and then we'll
Yes.
see where we're at. So I do want to talk about hit reg, and then also I'll talk about regional servers. So here's the status on hit reg, and it's really good news. You guys will like this. I was able to finally get Nima back focused on it. He's been on it all week and some of last week as well. So he had a plan of attack, and the plan of attack goes something like this. He first started out doing an optimization with the mech movement code, and this was done so we could unlock the ability of doing other things. It was a good optimization to the network bandwidth, and it was like a, I don't know, 25% reduction in our network bandwidth. So that could help some, but that's a minor aspect. That's really to unlock the other things we wanted to do. Next, what he did is he moved on to actual bone position rewind. So the existing rewind system rewound the mech, but didn't rewind the bone positioning, for good reasons, because it is harder to do and more expensive to do from a server processing, a server CPU point. But we put that in. So essentially, I think what this means, I think you'll understand this, but basically, when a mech is there and it rewinds, it actually takes all the bone positions into consideration as well, and not just the main mech position on the ground. So the torso twist, the arm position, and even the leg positions are now all rewound. Maybe people thought they were before, they didn't realize this, but they weren't. Now they are. So if mechs that are armor tanking and turning their torso, all that's being rewound now. So sometimes you might have seen a shot that looked like a hit on your screen, but actually they had turned their torso in that, time frame, and it actually had missed. It legitimately had missed, but it looked like it was a hit on your screen because you didn't rewind the bone position of how they rotated or whatnot. So that was a big improvement, and I think the biggest improvement that might be around the leg position. So you're thinking of a mech running along, it wasn't rotating, it wasn't rewinding the actual, positions of the legs, like back and forth, back and forth. So this can't really be understated. I think it's a really big improvement, and even maybe just as big as that or bigger was in this discovery process or putting these items in, there was some bugs found, and you find these things, but basically I would just say just some bugs in the rewind state between certain players of different ping levels and whatnot. So significant improvement there as well. Actually, the two of them are both significant. Then we did have to take some time optimizing because both of these things did increase the CPU load. It took a few days of optimizations to optimize the way both that bug fixes and the bone rewinding was working. But I guess there's a couple things left we'd like to do, but I'm hoping against hope, and I'm going to call this a small possibility, that we'll get all the hit reg fixes in for July 7th. I'd like to do that, not only because I think they're significant, and I think I'm confident people are going to see a significant improvement. In fact, I think we're going to see, I won't start throwing out percentages, but yeah, I won't. But let's just say I think it's going to be awesome. So I think it's going to be a massive improvement. Definitely by far the best it's ever been, and dare I say, getting really close to. Yeah, I better not use that word.
You gotta be careful, huh? Everybody's looking at
Basically,
you.
be awesome, and some of the people here at NEMA saying, well, geez, this explains a lot as to what we're seeing and why our hit percentages were where they were and where we thought they should be, and now they should be where we thought they should be, and they should be really great. Geez, do we really need regional servers now? Because honestly, this rewind thing should work awesome up to like 400 milliseconds or whatever. So don't worry, we're not going to change our mind on the regional servers, because the regional servers, they do something else for us too, right? Even though I think, all of our players, especially all those guys in the 200, 250 and pings and stuff, I think they're going to be really happy after we patch in this hit detection improvements. hit reg stuff. And but the new servers also unlock regions of the world that maybe just aren't playing now. Like whether it's Russian players, Eastern European players, guys that are consistently over 300 that just really aren't playing. Some of them might not have been playing because the hit rich bugs and the improvements that we just made might draw some back in. But I think also like especially those players that are like 300 and 400 ping that they're now going to be getting who knows, maybe 100, right? That's awesome. They'll be hopefully able to come back and play now. So I'm hoping that the regional servers will. One of my big hopes for regional servers now isn't really even about hit reg. That's how much I think of the improvements we just made. Yeah, I think that's a minor point now. I think the main point just is unlocking a bunch of players that had too high of a ping to our Montreal data center. So now they'll come back and play. So I'm hoping we'll see, an uptick in players that used to play and didn't play anymore because their ping was too high to come back. So the data center will be, it's like the French-German border. I forget the name of the actual city, French city. Basically, so you guys in that region can calculate what you think that means for you. I've never been able to verbally talk about this yet, so I guess I will go into it a little bit how it works. I guess first a note for Oceanic. Yes, we're going to put servers there. Might be Singapore. Maybe will be in Australia itself. I think Singapore makes a lot more sense for us to unlock the whole region. And I think still Australian players should be seeing 120 or less no matter where they are in Australia. So I think that probably makes the most sense. So I think that'd be a great play experience. So that I'd love it if it all happened at once. But getting the partner to work with in the Singapore region is a little more work because our existing partner that we use in Montreal has the data center over there in Europe that we're using. They don't have anything over there, so we have to get a different partner. So Oceanic, I'm going to try my best to get it to come out the same patch. If not, it will tail by hopefully no more than a patch or two, and then we'll have the service over there as well. What else to say about that? So what patch is this now? I think we're looking at July 21st now for our European servers. European server for sure. We'll see about Oceanic. So how is it going to work for matchmaking? This is important to relay. And hopefully this came across clear in some of my tweets and various things, was probably not crystal clear. So the matchmaker for public queue, it's going to be an option kind of like game mode is. And for now, we don't really have much of a choice but to make it a hard option because we're thinking, obviously we've been a North American game since we launched with North American servers since we launched. So I don't really have the ability to tell my current North American customers because, and I don't want the European players to take this the wrong way because they've been every bit as big of a community as North America this whole time, and they're hugely important to us. But I think you understand the notion that from the beginning, because we were an English North American game with North American servers, we were always careful to say, the servers are in North America, so basically we can only really guarantee this play experience for here, and we're going to make it as good as possible for everyone else. But this, the servers are in North America, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, everyone made their buying decisions, and we assume, and everything based on the fact that the servers are here in North America. So I don't feel like I can, make North American servers and European players saying, why not? We've been playing in North America. But again, go back to what I just said and kind of the logic. I mean, so you have someone, they've all, for the last 3 years, all their buying decisions and playing decisions and everything is based on the fact on where they know the server is and what performance they get to it. So again, I'm getting back to here. I don't think I could make North American players play in Europe. So that means that it really has to be a hard option. So when the Oceanic servers are active as well, what you'll see is when you drop down that game mode selector thing, there'll be 3 more boxes, and you can click 1, 2, or all of them. So if you get good connection to all of them. So what I'm expecting, like for instance, me in Vancouver, I get about 80 at the office, 90 something maybe at home to the data center in Montreal. So we're playing in the 90 range. It's because it's basically as far for us to Montreal as from like the UK guys to Montreal. So that's okay, right? But the French-German border servers probably be probably be maybe like 200 ping. So maybe North American West Coast players would check the North America and European boxes. I think there's a pretty good chance that all the population playing of the East Coast North American players will. They'll be able to check both. And I think a lot of the European players now, especially if all this hit reg stuff works out as I'm telling you it's going to, I'm expecting they'll probably, hopefully, choose to continue to also match on the North American server, but they'll check both. So, for instance, you click play now on the solo queue, and the matchmaker really will look at the players and say, well, the majority of players are in, European region, and let's go there. But it'll have everyone would have had to have the European checkbox checked in that case, of course. So we'll kick off the match there, and then if everyone has the checkbox for North America, but then the highest ping is there, then we'll go there. So yes, as a player, you can say Europe only, and you'll only match in Europe. Your wait times might be longer. So we will show you that basically, at least a little bit, where it shows the weight class distribution. When you hover over the play now button, it'll be a little bit bigger, and it'll actually show the distribution of players based on what checkboxes they have checked. So that'll add up to more than 100%. Obviously, if everybody in the world had everything checked, you'd see 100% for each region, 100, 100, 100. But obviously, if 60% have European checked and 60% have North American checked and 30% have Oceanic checked, you'll see those numbers. So you can make the determination at certain times of the day. If you see an 80% of North America, maybe you feel like you can just check North America. But other times of the day, like if you live in Boston and you are playing at your lunch hour or like 2 in the afternoon because you didn't have work that day, and you're playing really in a European peak moment, then you can see that, and if you have an acceptable ping there and 150 and really play both hit reg, and you can check that as well. So anyhow, I think you get it. But the problem, obviously, with Oceanic, it's very few players in the world outside of the Oceanic region that are going to find the ping probably acceptable. But I don't know. We'll see with this new hit reg thing. I mean, it might be that us West Coast North American players get a ping of 250 with the new improvements to hit reg. We'd say, yeah, rock and roll. Let's check that too and play there. So that's what we need to find out. That's what we're going to see, and that's how it'll work for public queue. But there's another important note I need to bring up here, and that is around community warfare. Right now, under the same logic I just expressed to you about, say, existing North American customers, right now I don't see an option other than saying that community warfare remains a North American server only. I don't like that solution. I wish there was a way to use all the servers. But you see some of the problems if we talk this through. And for instance, one might logically say, well, you've got 3 battle windows. Make each battle window play on their servers. So, the North American window is North American servers, and European window, European servers, etc. Now, I guess the problem becomes, again, you have a lot of North American players this is the lesser problem, but North American players say, again, like the situation I told you about here in Pacific, I didn't go to work for the day. Around 1, 2 in the afternoon is kind of like, noon to 2 is going to be like the peak European time. So I guess in that time I'm playing community warfare, and I'm playing on the European servers, being forced to play on the European servers for community warfare because I'm playing then, and then at like 3 o'clock Pacific and switch over to North American servers. So that might sound debatable to you, and maybe it's acceptable, but then it becomes a little more extreme when the Oceanic server comes up, right? And then the same people, like the guys in the UK, if I have my math right, if they're home for the day and they're playing at noon or something, they're going to be playing on Oceanic servers, and that's a long ways away. I don't even know what their ping would be. 400 plus, which basically might put Community Warfare out of touch, you can't play it. So only Oceanic players are playing for those 8 hours. And then you might think, but then look at the weekends, it becomes even more of a problem because people are playing more extreme hours and more times of the day. So it's a difficult problem. We don't have the players in Community Warfare to like shard it, like have a separate shard for each region, nor would players want that. They want to play with European players, want to play with North American players, and they all want to fight over the same inner sphere. So it's a difficult problem. So I think for now, we have to say, well, public queue will work as I expressed. Community Warfare will remain on the North American server. And with all the big improvements we just did to hit reg, I'm hoping we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it works well. I mean, it's not perfectly ideal, but that's the best solution that we have at the moment. So I guess if someone could think of something better, we'll be listening. But there's kind of the story on hit reg. Everyone should really cheer about hit reg and be really excited. I think that's going to be awesome. I think regional servers is going to be great. I think we're going to re-engage a lot of players that maybe don't play anymore and then come back and play. And those things together, hit reg and the regional servers, I think things are going to be awesome.
That's huge news, Russ. I mean, those, like, seriously, I was getting super excited. Hit reg, obviously, everybody's going crazy about the hit reg fixes, but the regional servers, man. I mean, I play with people from all over Europe, other games as well, and Australia, and that just makes me super excited. I'm very happy about the regional servers.
Just sort of note here, I saw a lot of comments saying that they approved of the selection of servers and that you're not locking them out regionally and their gear regionally. That was a concern a lot of people had, and I know
that's huge.
a lot of games do that where you
Yes.
don't have the same equipment, or you have to log out and then log back in and this and that. So kudos. I definitely like that, hearing that answer as well.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm hopeful that we will re-engage a lot of players that maybe don't play currently because they feel hit reg is too bad for them because they have 300 ping, or they just feel like their ping isn't acceptable. I don't know if I can overstate how excited we are about the hit reg improvements. Like, it really is possible. We'll see that, North American players and European players that even have 250, 300 pings might choose to play on both servers because it's just rewinding and doing that good of a job. Like, I'm really hopeful about this. I hope. I'm trying to be, actually, I'm not trying very well, am I, to be cautious? I'm being pretty uncautious about this. So hopefully that doesn't burn me, but we're quite excited about it. So I think that mixed with regional servers, I can't overstate how excited about those two things we are. I mean, it's a possibility that, again, like us West Coast North American players might even say, yeah, I'll play on the Oceanic server, that it could be that much of an improvement. And then I'd have about the same ping over to Europe, probably be 2 to 250. So a possibility that I might even play on all of them if this all works out the way we want. And so very exciting. So that is good news.
Indeed.
I do have one more topic that I'd like to set up and talk about. That's cool with you.
I got a quick follow-up, though, because you
Yeah,
just
go.
mentioned hit reg and bone tracking. Question in chat we have from Spiral Face. Since you're bone tracking now, would that open the gates up to leg IKs getting back in? So, like, you could
I
have
don't
1
know.
foot higher than the other and all that fun stuff.
Oh, geez, I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I think they're pretty unrelated. Like, it's not like we didn't have bone IK in because we didn't have bone rewind or anything like that. I guess I need to go ask the team about that because keep people bringing it up that we used to have and we don't now. And I'll have to find out why. I can't say. It must have been some kind of performance thing with, the game, but I'll have to look into it. So
Paul
sorry,
says unrelated.
yeah, I mean, they are very unrelated, but talking just about the foot IK stuff, I mean, I can look back into it as to why, but yeah, it has nothing to do with bone rewinding or hit reg or anything like that.
All right, Russ. Well, the soapbox is still yours. Continue. What else did you have? What else you got for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do want to talk about a mech pack, and I want to set this up because I know, but there's a lot of chatter about that. I think a lot of people are just feeling like, hey, oh geez, there's a lot of mech packs. You have to buy a lot of mechs. So hey, I just want to remind everybody because first off, if you don't find value in a mech pack, don't buy it. I mean, absolutely, This is for, but to be realistic, this is how we fund the game, right? This is how MechWarrior Online exists. There's just no two ways about it, and we're a fairly small niche game, and we absolutely rely on having really hardcore fans. Like we have a greater portion of fans that own a lot of shit compared to a lot of games. That's just the only way these sort of things work. Having said that, and I guess the other point I would guess we'll just address is that I think sometimes a lot of people are saying, "Oh, geez, I have a lot enough mechs. Just give me features." Of course, I understand that. I mean, think about what I've just listed off here. Look at the big rambling rant I went on about Community Warfare Phase 3, about all the map makeover stuff, all the hit rate stuff, the regional servers, the new mech select screen, continuing on the cheating, the new tutorial, and the PvE functionality being built out, the game mode stuff, the whole new balance pass. I mean, we're doing the best job we can at features. I mean, I need to just tell you again, like creating content, like creating a mech pack will never, ever, ever, ever impact feature development. They're totally different people. The guys that do the modeling, they don't make features. They're not programmers. They're not designers. They're not level designers. They're not anything but artists. They make art. They make mechs. So just wanted to say that it's not impacting feature development.
Don't worry, you
Different
can't say
people.
that enough.
And yeah, if you find value in them, we appreciate the support. If you don't, then we understand. If you feel like you have enough, you don't need mechs, great. Now, having said that, when I tried to decide what mech pack we'd do next, I tried to come up with something a little different. I guess what I mean by that is the mechs I wanted to fill a bit of a different niche that we weren't filling up on the clan side. And there's a side benefit of this too when it comes to a pricing standpoint. I think there was a lot of clan players saying, hey, you know, are our mechs more and this, that, and you know, it's about the Omnimex, it's about the Omnipods, it's about the pricing and all that. But what we did come up with though is a mech pack that we are able to offer at the same pricing as IS. So it's 20, 40, 60, 80, the same pricing tiers that you get with the Inner Sphere packs. So I think first off, the clan players will be happy to hear that and excited to hear that. And the other benefit is it's because they're mechs also that we can give a little extra functionality to clan players in that they can actually customize these mechs a lot more than their other ones. They can actually adjust the engine sizes. They can actually fully customize them. No, like more like an IS mech, almost exactly in the way that an IS mech gets customized, but it's with clan technology. So, having said all that, you already know what I'm talking about. At least most of you junkies out there.
Some of them
No,
do,
no,
yeah.
they want you to hear it. You say it and you say it
So-
slowly.
Yes, we're gonna do our first 2C pack.
Boom.
And we're going with the Origins pack. So we we talked about it for a while. We didn't want to call it the 2C pack, so that when we do the next ones, it's the 2C2 pack. So 2C Origins, you know, kind of the original mechs they took away and turned them into clan mechs. So we're talking the Jenner 2C. Awesome. It's a chicken walker now, right? You guys all knew that. It looks a little funky being a chicken walker, you know. It doesn't look right at first. You see it, but pretty cool. It's kind of like an oxide capabilities on it. And then you have the Hunchback 2C.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it looks amazing with the two hunches. And then you have the Orion 2C, which looks just so freaking cool. I think it's going to be a really cool mech. And then we have the Highlander 2C. So, and I guess I'll take this moment now to state that, yeah, there is a lot of shared asset between the Inner Sphere ones and this, but there's actually probably just as much that's different about them. Like they didn't take the easy road on these things. Like originally I thought, oh great, this will be easy, right? Like it won't take a lot of modeling or whatever. We'll just like bam, put, you know, two hunches on a hunchback. But they definitely didn't take any shortcuts. Like I say, with the Jenner, it looks significantly different. You know, it has the chicken legs and it has the torso and everything. It's just different enough. The hunchback, besides the two hunches, that the arms are very different. They're more little beefier arms, and the legs have a different styling to them, and definitely looks different. And then you guys know, like with the Highlander 2C art, you got the like massive gun on the right hip, and so we tried to bring those elements in, and same with the Orion. So I think they look really cool. They look very different from the existing Inner Sphere ones, or at least a fair bit different. And again, I think the clan players should be excited because the new things that they gives is it's going to give you a different level of customization. So obviously there's not the omnipods and that hardpoint customization, but you got all the other customization aspect with something you don't have with your other mechs, which is going to be neat and I think fun for clan players to bring some more of that into gameplay. And then again, where the pricing is 20 the Inner Sphere pricing, because really these mechs are about the same cost in game, pretty close anyhow, to taking the Inner Sphere equivalents and pumping them up with full XLs and endosteel and ferrofibers. Once you get all that stuff on them, they're pretty close to what these clan mechs cost. A little less still, but close enough that we thought the pricing could match the Inner Sphere pricing. So, anyhow, I hope people are excited about that.
You got pricing that you want to talk about?
I just
No,
said,
he did.
right?
He said
Yeah.
20,
Like
40,
twice.
60, 80.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so Inner Sphere pricing, and they will come out this year, but it'll be late in the year. So they'll come out after the Resistance 2, obviously. So similar process as always. Yeah, I guess that's all I'll do for now. I might be able to tease some images, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, and I don't know. Yeah, so I guess once we launch it and sell it, we'll see. The people will speak if they're interested in 2C mechs or not. So that's the rest of my list. I don't have anything else here.
Well, that's,
that
I mean,
was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, you just dropped some major bombs. And I would like to point out that people that are wanting to see the new River City map or see knockdown trees, well, first of all, you can go to the new Instagram page for MechWarrior Online. So just check out Instagram. You can see some of the videos that Tina's putting up there every day. But also tomorrow, like I said, there'll be vlog number 12. There'll be the weekend update. We'll be putting sneak peeks and everything that we can, artwork, whatever. Plus Russ likes to post stuff on Twitter, so make sure you're checking that out as well. But yeah, that was some pretty big news there.
I hope everyone's feeling good. There's a lot of shit getting done. I mean, the team's been killing it all year. We have to just go through all the patch notes for the entire year and just list everything off. And it's a lot. You forget about all the stuff coming in, and by the end of this year, once we get phase 3 in, and I hope everyone liked what I said about phase 3. I'm sure there's plenty of discussions still like, well, where's my jump ship? And there's people still want more and more depth and more logistics. I understand that, but I think it's a big step. So hopefully it's I think people are going to be happy with it. Hopefully they are. That was this is all stuff we're going to see this year, and I guess from a further out perspective, people are asking. I mean, they talk about the plan and like what's the further out plan? Well, beyond getting Steam and with the new tutorial and some change of the matchmaker and all these regional servers, and then having Community Warfare Phase 3, I expect, of course, there'll always be more and more like Phase 4 and just nonstop improvements. And I'd like to get the Community Warfare game modes in the private match screen with dropship functionality in the private match screen. That's not in there yet, but we're working on it. We didn't even talk tonight about all the new improvements coming to the spectator tool, right? I mean, I guess that's been described. People know about it. We're pushing hard for July 21st. We'll see. Hopefully it'll make that. Like I said in my roadmap, that's the risk item. If it misses that one, it'll be in the first patch in August. So it's coming soon. That's big. That's going to help tournament play, and we'll do the other private match functionality. The time of day settings for the maps for River City, when River City map first comes out, you won't have the time of day settings in the private match, but we'll get that in there as soon as possible. We understand from a competitive perspective, you can't be having random times a day, I imagine. You want to be totally fair, so that won't be in there right away, but we'll get it in as soon as possible. And then, looking further out, to me, the next big thing is, and we're finally getting to a point where we can work on it. It's about PVE. I want to see in 2016 co-op PVE in MechWarrior Online, and I won't say much more than that at this point because it's obviously very early. But we're finally getting tools and scripting functionality. we're seeing it now. We're seeing it get built. We're seeing it work. We're seeing improvements being put into turrets and other aspects, and really, there's a lot of work ahead of us. Many months of building up a proper competitive and smart AI system. So that's obviously the biggest task. So it'll be a while. Don't think January, February, or Q1, but we're gonna be working hard on it. That's the next big thing for MechWarrior Online. And you've maybe heard me say this before, and trust me, I want to be working on it yesterday, and we are as of more, recently. But it'd be nice. I can't wait till that comes out. So I just wanted to throw that back out there again. I know there is an increasing amount of people really looking forward to PvE experiences. And so I think long term, like I think first it's about having great PvE in MechWarrior Online, and then a step beyond that would be more full-blown single player. So it's just stepping stones to get to that. But we'll get there. If you guys keep playing, keep supporting, and keep wanting it, then we'll just keep working towards that. But we won't stop with PvP. We won't stop with community warfare improvements or game modes and play now. But beyond the ongoing incremental improvements to everything in PvP, it's PvE and single player.
Very cool. Well, Russ, I mean, we've been going, 2 hours and 40
Almost
minutes.
3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, so be totally fine if you are ready to get out of there and don't want to take any questions. You've asked quite a lot tonight, but it's up to you, sir.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I went for a rant. Why don't we take 3 questions?
Well, I've got 2 for you.
Ooh. All right.
One of them is from Teacup, and he asks, Intersphere Omnimex win.
Hard date?
Yeah, sorry, no idea. Yeah, no idea. I'd say no. I'm not feeling the pressure there yet. Sorry. To me, it's still about IS versus the clans, and we have the 2C mechs there, and I'm sure the clans would like to get their other, non-Omni-Mech ones like the Kodiaks and kind of those. Intersphere, yeah, I guess I want to see, Phase 3 come out and have it be more of a full-blown clan versus IS battle a little bit longer, and we'll see. But so no immediate plans. I wouldn't look at 2015 for sure.
All right.
Phil's going to prep the next question. I'm going to just kind of consolidate a bunch of questions. There's been questions in the chat like, what about fixing my founder's generator, or what about the quick draw this or that problem? Specific mechs, people voicing their whether it's geometry or bug fixes or whatever. What I wanted to say, and maybe you can elaborate, is that it's not just about creating new mechs. You're also at the same time going back. It's not just fixing maps, but you're fixing mechs, geometry. Is that something that's happening concurrently? Is everybody's favorite mech going to get the love and attention then they want at some point?
I'll just say this for that question, I guess. And Tina's still here, hanging in there. She's listening. Here's another job for her.
Listen up,
Dennis, our art director, he tasked me. He said, "Look, get me like the 5 worst scaled mechs in the game." And they're going to start to think about possibly seeing what they can do. I haven't had time to do that yet. So, I mean, there's no harm in saying Tina can get, the players to weigh in and pick, around 5 of the worst scaled mechs in the game, whether it's the, quick draw or awesome or whatever, and create the list. And it comes with no attachment of promises. It's just, we're starting to think long and hard about how. Because we're getting through that backlog of the other items. I mean, this is in the roadmap, but there's 5 mechs total left to get their mech lab retrofits. 4 of them come out in the July 7th patch. I think the only one left is the Stalker, and I don't have a date on that yet. But so they're always, these sort of things take lower priority on the category list, but we get through them. And so I guess they're thinking like, okay, like if there's a couple really bad offenders, maybe we'll try and rescale them and see what the effort's like. And so, yeah, so there you go. So maybe we'll gather some opinions on like the 5 worst scaled mechs in the game and see what we can do.
Well, there you go. Tina says we have a thread or a poll. So just Tina is your go-to person for specific mech requests and so forth. Phil,
Awesome.
Phil, you got something?
Yeah, I think this one I'm gonna answer or ask. It's Maroon says when Russ takes question mobile comments on the Macross, the unseen. The last time we were talking about this, you said maybe we're just gonna go for it. Maybe we just say screw it and we just do them and we completely redesign them. Have you put any more thought into that?
Great question, Mayron.
The unseen.
Well, I can't say I haven't put any thought into it. Not necessarily. I haven't really put any more thought into that direction. I'd put a little more thought into more of the, no, I mean more of the Harmony Gold route of contacting them again and just seeing if I can pester them again and try to make something happen. I had a little more thoughts along that line. I haven't really had any more thoughts along the line of just going for it, so to speak. So yeah, sorry, that's it for now. Unfortunately, it's just sort of I'm not sure if we're going for it. That might have been a little too optimistic on my point at that meeting.
You got a lot of us excited.
Yeah, because it's almost like a certainty that we would have to. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. You remember the 2009 video of the Unreal video Mech Warrior that had the the Warhammer in it?
Oh yeah.
Well, we heard from Harmony Gold. You guys know that, right? They wanted us to take down the video.
We do now.
In fact,
oh
we did.
my God, Harmony Gold.
So that Warhammer, which honestly, I mean, I guess if we wanted to defend ourselves in court and spend the money, we probably could have, because you guys go back and look at the video, find it on YouTube. I mean, it was a Warhammer, you could tell, but it was significantly different in the head and various areas, and we even changed the missile box and the spotlight and a number of things to be quite a bit different, and possibly different enough, but that just shows you, and we heard from them. So if we go down that road, we essentially know we're going to hear from them, and we know we're going to have to defend that. And I don't know, it costs a lot of money. So you
know what? There was one very special ingredient missing from that first Warhammer, and that was Alex Iglesias. So maybe, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, next question we have and is Opavi says, any plans for Solaris?
Paul was here. He did say a few things about it, which is basically it's just in the early planning stages. It's a huge thing. It's bigger than Community Warfare Phase 3. It's basically a total huge release in and of itself. So I don't know if
that's you're right, it is, and it's probably there's a couple ways we could go with it, but it's you could easily see it be like a similar effort to like getting out Community Warfare Phase 1. Maybe less than that now if you try to utilize aspects of like, use the map of the inner sphere, or like try to utilize as much as you can maps and various things. But you're going to create some new maps, obviously Solaris style maps, and it's the kind of the bracketing tournament functionality, or is it matchmaking? Right? Is it like people jumping in and the matchmakers finding matches, kind of like it is in Community Warfare? Or is it all private match sort of functionality? So there's some big decisions there, and Paul's got a lot of ideas, but yeah, it's big. I mean, I would suggest that's probably at least between planning, finalizing design, and developing is probably about a 6-month type of a feature to get a first phase out of Solaris. So we'd have to make a decision to do that. And it's going to come expensive something, like everything does. So one way of looking at that is say get Community Warfare Phase 3 out, and then you take 6 months to do that instead of doing Phase 4. And we don't want it to necessarily slow down anything we're doing on the PvE side. So, yep, there you go. That's all I can say about that. Probably it is a big amount of work, and we're not working on it yet.
All right, Phil and I are having too much fun on the document. Well, Russ, that was almost 3 hours. Thank you so much for your time. We totally appreciate it. I know you already had a full day, and then being here and answering all these crazy questions, that's huge. And you dropped some major bombs. So again, we totally appreciate it.
All right. So speaking of which, again, if you missed it, you'll be able to listen on YouTube. probably wouldn't recommend listening on Twitch, but we'll get up on SoundCloud and any other opportunities for you guys to listen to it on the go or wherever you are in the world. Quick shout out to everyone helping behind the scenes. So we've got Z-Spot here and
transcription. I just dropped it in
up
chat
on
right
Reddit.
there,
There you go. And of course, we've got Russ. Thank you again for hanging out and chilling and answering those questions. Again, lots of stuff from mech rebalance all the way to the 2C mechs and hit reg and servers and yeah, it was a good
and
good
on
meeting.
and on and on. And I want to point out too, guys, we're totally sorry we don't get to every single question. We try to. We even try to talk fast. We try, like it's hard. You guys submit a ton of questions every single time. I mean, MWO Mercs,
it's a
it was like
metric
16 or
shit ton.
17. Yeah,
It's literally there's like thousands of questions. It's just my god.
Yeah, so we do our best to get as many questions as we can. We try and put them in order that we receive. We try and spread the topics out or whatever. But again, sorry if your question didn't get in. We will try next time, like we always do. But once again, thank you for everybody that showed up tonight in chat. Thank you everybody behind the scenes. Wingbreakers, Zeus, thank you, Zeus. We love you. Tina, Russ, thank you again. It's time to eat.
It is. Anyways, guys, just
sleep.
want to say thank you again to everyone out there. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, hit that follow button. We do stream every single day, and we've got quite a bit of streamers that stream at different time zones as well. So show them your love, show them your support, watching that mech porn. Anyways, again, thank you to everyone. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Facebook and all of our other content. All right, guys.
Follow us here. We got 2 new streamers. We got Gimpy and we've got Rich. So be sure to follow us here. They'll be streaming a lot this week. So looking forward to seeing you all.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Again, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Russ.
Until next time, Mech Warriors. Peace.
Good night, all.